People often realize they're being taken advantage of, but they stay anyway because they've become too emotionally attached. Maybe they're still hoping their crush or love interest will eventually give them attention and the relationship will turn serious. Or maybe they truly don't see that this is a dead end, and the person they're getting close to is only there to take advantage. In this video, we'll show you the signs and, more importantly, what you should do when you start seeing these signs. Let's get into it, guys. Ready? Let's go. First sign you're being used. It's simple, they make you pay for everything. From the small stuff to the big expenses, you're the one always spending money. If you're with someone who never offers to pay, or even suggests splitting the bill, this is a huge sign they're just using you. Here's another obvious red flag. Whenever you go out together, they always pick the most expensive option. For example, if you suggest going to a restaurant, they immediately choose the priciest drink or order the most expensive thing on the menu. And this happens every single time you go out, as if they know you'll pay and don't care about your financial situation. You're probably just an ordinary person trying to get by, but they're spending like crazy without a second thought. Plus, if they're the ones who invite you out, and you still end up paying for everything, that's a problem. If I were you, I'd suggest they pay for something too. There's no need to feel embarrassed. For me, it's like a litmus test to see if they're serious about you or not. Because if someone truly likes you, they wouldn't let you spend so much. They'd remind you not to overdo it with something like, "Hey, no need to spend that much. I can get this later," or, "That's expensive, how about I help cover it?" That's completely different from someone who just thinks, "Well, they're paying, so I'll grab whatever I want." Let's move on to sign number 2. They've told you from the start that they just want to be friends, but you still feel like you have a chance. Okay, I get it. Sometimes relationships start as friendships and then turn into something more. But if they've explicitly said, "I just want to be friends," and you keep pushing for more, eventually they'll get tired of it. So if you've heard them directly say they only want to be friends, believe them. Don't get stuck in that cycle. If they say friends, believe them. The point is, if they say they just want to be friends, trust what they say. If you keep pushing, you'll only end up being used as their personal cash cow. Next, sign number 3. They always avoid deep conversations. Everything you talk about never touches on anything serious. Be careful with this one. If every time you go out to eat, they seem more interested in the food than in you, that's a problem. Who doesn't love free meals or company? But if all your conversations are shallow and never dive into real topics like their life, family, or interests, that's a big sign they're not genuinely interested in you. Usually, if someone likes you, they'll want to know more about you. They'll want to know what excites you, how you think, and they'll be willing to open up about themselves too. So, if they're constantly keeping their distance and your conversations are always surface level, sorry to say, but it looks like they're just using you, whether it's for your time, money, or free meals. So don't take this relationship too seriously, because it's clearly not going anywhere. Moving on to sign number 4. They only show up when they need something from you. This one's a classic. They only appear when they're hungry or want something that benefits them. How often do you invite them out or try to do something nice for them, and if it doesn't serve them, they'll say no thanks? For example, if you invite them to hang out but they've just eaten, they'll decline because they don't need a free meal anymore. Be cautious of people who only show up when it's convenient for them. Unfortunately, many people get so focused on chasing their crush that they miss these small warning signs. If they only come around when it's convenient for them, it's better to cut your losses and leave. No need to overthink it, just run. Here's another frustrating scenario. You plan a romantic dinner, thinking it's going to be a cozy moment for just the two of you. But what happens? They show up with their friends, 3, maybe 4, even 5 of them. So instead of a romantic dinner, it turns into a mini reunion. And the worst part? They don't even think about whether you can afford to pay for all that. Typically, if someone does this, they either don't trust being alone with you, or they're just wasting your time. If they bring their friends without telling you first, it's a clear sign they're just there to spend your money. If this sign isn't enough to make you realize they're using you, I don't know what will. Maybe it's time to check your instincts. Seriously, don't waste any more time. Last tip, guys. If someone is using you, they won't invest emotionally in you. Yup, if they're not emotionally involved, that's a big sign they're just using you. For example, if you don't call them, they won't make the effort to call you first. They don't care, don't feel like they're missing out, and won't complain about it either. Maybe they're not fully using you, but they're definitely not interested. You're just a convenient option. If there's nothing more interesting for them to do, then they might agree to hang out with you. Otherwise, they'd rather stay home. 0 emotional connection. No effort to build a closer relationship. The simplest example. They don't remember the last time they reached out to you or when your birthday is. They won't even bother to remember small things, even though nowadays it's as easy as setting a reminder on their phone. If they don't care about these little things, it's obvious they're not emotionally invested. So if they still hang out with you, it's probably just because they're bored or don't have any other options. It's that simple. Understand the difference. Sometimes people aren't interested and we don't realize it. But once you see these signs, it's clear, they're just wasting your time. Remember, this can happen to anyone. So, for everyone watching, these tips apply to anyone, whether you're a guy or a girl. Hopefully, after watching this video, you'll be more aware of the signs that someone is just using you.